Hey, what's up? Nick here. This is a clip from the most recent Nick Symmonds show. If you want to see that in its entirety, I'll link it in the description below. But today we are talking about how to properly pace mid-distance races. Roll clip. You got a question for me?
Well, actually, this is great because tomorrow's my first race for the track season.
Very cool.
Yeah, and the thing is, I'm the only frosh, so I'm all by myself against all these teams.
You're the only
There's
what?
my partner. I'm the only frosh off on the team
Oh, okay.
for this race.
Yeah.
So I'm all by myself.
What are you racing?
Yeah. I'm doing mid distance, so either the mile or 8, and
Good.
then I'm doing the 400.
Good, man. Crush it. What's your question?
Well, for the mile and the 800, what do you have like any tips? Because I don't want to go too fast at the beginning, because sometimes I start off slow, but I build up, but everybody seems to be in the front. I'm always in the back.
Well, you know, given that this is your first race, I would say first it's a rust buster, so you're not going to totally know what kind of pace you want to run. So I'd encourage you to just get in there and mix it up and not put too much pressure on yourself. Just, you know, we call it a rust buster. You're just going to go out there and bust that rust off those legs. Now, as you begin to go through the season and get more familiar with your body and what kind of shape you're in, you're going to be able to select targeted paces. So if you're trying to run the 8, you really want to dial in that pace and try to have a plus 2 second differential. So let's say you're trying to run 2 flat just for round even numbers. I really believe in a positive 2 second differential when you're time trialing 800. So you might go out in 58 and come back in 60. That would be, you know, with the tenths of a second, that would be a sub 2 minute 800. Now the mile I run way different. You know, some people like to positive split the mile. I like to run my miles dead even. So let's say you want to run a 5-minute mile. You go 75 seconds for the first lap, 75 seconds for the second lap, same for the third, same for the fourth. Now that's time trialing, right? That's when you're out there and you're by yourself and you're just running within yourself. You're racing the clock. But I really believe that, you know, track and field especially is about racing. You know, running is about racing. I want you to get in there. I want you to look at the people around you, and I want you to be competitive. And ideally, I want you to put time out the window, especially on this first one. And just go and be competitive and listen to your body. As the season progresses, you can get more and more focused with time, especially if you need to qualify for certain championships. But really, you know, first things first, focused on competition. Does that help at all?
Yeah, it does. And then also too, for pacing, do you have any tips? Because I struggle with pacing.
You know, one of the best. How old are you, Joseph?
16.
Yeah, you're still very young. You know, pacing is a skill that is learned through miles and miles of training and racing. You know, as you're in training, you know, and your coach gives you a pace to hit, that's not a challenge to see if you can go faster than that. It's a challenge to see if you can hit that pace exactly. So in practice, if your coach gives you a pace, I want you to challenge yourself to hit it to the second. You know, that's what makes a great pacer. And as you do that more and more, as you get in the race, it will be more and more natural. Now, one thing that you can do in races is, you know, have somebody at the 200-meter mark calling out splits. Have somebody at the 400-meter mark calling out splits. You know, that way you're listening and you're hearing how your body's feeling. You're also hearing those laps, and you're combining that knowledge together. When we were in high school, you know, I don't know how many training partners you have, but I'd love the older runners to tell me what pace they're going to run so I can kind of key off them. Now, that's a double-edged sword, because if they actually run the pace, it's very helpful, but if they can't hit pace, then it doesn't do you any good. So I think probably the number one way that you can learn to run pace is in practice and rely on yourself. But there are other ways. You know, as pros, a lot of times we used rabbits, where the rabbit was paid to actually run a certain pace, and we could key off that.
Yeah, during practice, I kind of run by myself while everybody has their own group. It's kind of hard.
Absolutely.
For the pacing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Learn to rely on yourself, because they say, you know, running is a lonely sport. You're going to be out there by yourself. It's an individual sport frequently, and you have to learn to rely on yourself. The better you can get at pacing, you know, that puts you at a huge advantage over your competitors who maybe aren't as good at pacing.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right, Joseph, get out there and kick some butt.
All right. Thank you. Have a good one.
Thanks, man.
Bye.
Bye. All right, thanks for calling in. Now, a lot of our callers naturally mentioned how much they love Run Gum. This show is sponsored by my company, Run Gum. Run Gum, it's like an energy drink, but in gum form. And the trial pack gives you all 6 flavors, plus a headband, plus a sticker, all absolutely free. Just pay shipping and handling. I'll link that in the description below. See you tomorrow.